Kate Middleton's name apparently caused major drama between Prince William and his father.
The air inside the private briefing room at Kensington Palace was not merely tense, it was glacial. Outside, London hummed with the predictable rhythm of a late spring afternoon, but within those walls, a storm of unprecedented fury was breaking. Seated at the head of a polished mahogany table, Prince William's face was a mask of cold, controlled anger. His eyes, usually warm in public, were flint-hard as he stared at the high-definition screen displaying a curated reel of images from Nigeria. Images of his brother and his wife Meghan, being greeted by cheering crowds, cutting ribbons, and accepting floral bouquets with practiced smiles. To the world, it was a successful charitable visit. To the Prince of Wales, it was a declaration of war. Across from him, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, remained perfectly still. Her expression was unreadable, but those who know her best recognize the quiet, steely resolve in her posture. This was not the time for emotion, it was the time for strategy. And standing by the window, his back to the room, was King Charles III. He had been summoned from Clarence House for what was described as an urgent family security meeting, but he now understood its true purpose. He was not here to consult. He was here to witness the final, brutal severing of a bond he had desperately hoped to one day mend. The king remained silent, his shoulders slumped, as his eldest son laid down an ultimatum so ruthless, so absolute, that it would permanently redefine the structure of the monarchy itself. This was not a family squabble over hurt feelings. This was a calculated, strategic strike to neutralize what William now viewed as the single greatest existential threat to his future reign: the establishment of a rogue, unaccountable shadow court operating under the stolen legitimacy of the British crown. What the world was about to witness was not a reconciliation, but the forging of an ironclad firewall designed to permanently exile the Duke and Duchess of Sussex from any semblance of royal life forever. To understand the sheer velocity of the crisis that erupted behind palace walls, one must first recognize the deliberate and masterful execution of the Sussexes' tour of Nigeria. This was no simple, low-key charity visit. From the moment they touched down in Abuja, every single element was meticulously orchestrated to replicate the pomp, protocol, and visual language of an official state visit. The multi-day itinerary, the high-level meetings with military chiefs and regional governors, the carefully planned walkabouts to greet school children waving Nigerian and British flags. It was a flawless performance of royal duty, without the authority or the accountability that comes with it. The tour was ostensibly to promote the Invictus Games, yet it expanded far beyond that mandate. Meghan, styled in a wardrobe of vibrant, bespoke outfits that drew immediate and intentional parallels to Princess Diana's own African tours, delivered speeches on female leadership and mental health. Harry, in turn, spoke with the gravitas of a global statesman, engaging with wounded soldiers and government officials. They traveled in blacked-out motorcades with heavy security, attended lavish receptions hosted in their honor, and were consistently referred to by local dignitaries with their royal titles. The global media, particularly in the United States, lapped it up, splashing glossy, flattering images across websites and television screens. The narrative was clear. Harry and Meghan were the modern, dynamic, and globally beloved face of service, unconstrained by the dusty traditions of the old world. But inside Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace, this narrative was viewed not as a triumph, but as a direct and insolent challenge to the sovereign's authority. For centuries, the planning of an official royal tour has been a complex diplomatic dance between the Foreign, Commonwealth, and Development Office and the host nation. Every engagement is vetted, every speech is reviewed, and every movement is coordinated to advance the strategic interests of the United Kingdom. The Crown's power lies in its singularity. There can only be one monarch, one head of state, represented by a small, dedicated group of working royals. The Nigerian tour systematically violated this core principle. It created the dangerous illusion of a competing, alternative monarchy, one that could pick and choose its engagements, court global media on its own terms, and leverage its royal status for personal brand building without any oversight from the institution itself. For Prince William, this was the ultimate red line. He had watched for years as his brother monetized his royal connections, attacked the family in print and on screen, and now was attempting to build a parallel court on the world stage. An aide close to the Prince of Wales reportedly summarized his reaction with chilling clarity. They are not representing the king, they are representing themselves, and they are using the crown to do it. That ends now. The carefully constructed images of success from Nigeria were not seen as a tribute to the monarchy, but as a hijacking of its brand. And the Prince of Wales, as the future guardian of that brand, was preparing to reclaim it with absolute and unforgiving force. The immediate aftermath of the Nigerian tour plunged the royal household into a state of strategic paralysis, exposing the deep generational divide between King Charles and the Prince of Wales. The king, already burdened by his ongoing health challenges, was reportedly torn. As a father, he saw the images of his son being celebrated and felt a flicker of paternal pride. His instinct, honed by decades of preferring quiet diplomacy over open conflict, was to let the matter fade. He believed that a direct confrontation would only lead to another vicious cycle of public accusations and media frenzy, further damaging the monarchy's image. Charles's approach was one of containment, hoping that by ignoring the provocation, its significance would diminish over time. He instructed his press office to offer no comment, to starve the story of the oxygen of official reaction. But for Prince William, this passive strategy was not just misguided, it was an act of institutional negligence. He saw his father's hesitation not as wisdom, but as a dangerous vulnerability. In William's cold, pragmatic assessment, every day the palace remained silent was another day the Sussexes' narrative was allowed to solidify in the public consciousness. It was another day that the lines between an official royal and a celebrity ex-royal became dangerously blurred. He believed that the very foundation of the modern, slimmed-down monarchy rested on the principle of service over celebrity, of duty over personal ambition. The Nigerian tour was a direct assault on that principle. Behind the scenes, the Prince of Wales began to move with a speed and decisiveness that stunned even senior courtiers. He convened a series of private meetings with his most trusted advisors at Kensington Palace, a tight-knit group that has come to be known internally as the Firewall Committee. Their singular mission was to draft a new, unbreachable protocol to deal with any future unsanctioned activities by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. This was not about punishment, it was about survival. William knew he would one day inherit the throne with a depleted roster of working royals and under the intense scrutiny of a skeptical modern world. He could not afford to be fighting a perpetual public relations war with a rival family faction based in California. The Princess of Wales was a key voice in these strategic sessions. While she maintained her public composure, sources close to her described her as being deeply wounded by the calculated nature of the tour. She viewed it as a flagrant attempt to overshadow the work of the official family, particularly during a period of immense personal and institutional vulnerability. Her input was crucial, focusing on the long-term protection of the Crown's brand integrity and the need for absolute clarity in the public's mind about who is and who is not a working royal. The contrast between the two royal households became stark. While Charles sought peace through inaction, William and Catherine were preparing for war through strategy. They were building a case, documenting every protocol breach and preparing to present the king not with a request, but with a finished, non-negotiable plan. The tense, quiet corridors of Kensington Palace had become the war room for the future of the monarchy, and the Prince of Wales was about to force his father to choose a side. The climax arrived on that brooding Thursday afternoon. The meeting in the private briefing room was the culmination of weeks of clandestine planning. Prince William began not with an emotional appeal, but with a cold, forensic presentation. On the screen before his father, his team displayed a side-by-side analysis. The logistics, security, and diplomatic protocols of a typical official royal tour next to those of the Nigerian visit. The similarities were undeniable and, in the context of royal statecraft, deeply alarming. He then presented a dossier of media analysis from across the Commonwealth, demonstrating how the tour had sowed confusion, with many outlets mistakenly reporting it as an official visit on behalf of the king. The evidence was overwhelming, painting a picture of a deliberate and systemic campaign to create a rival power base. It was at this point that William laid down the new doctrine, a set of directives so severe they effectively amounted to an internal exile. The first point was absolute: a total ban on any member of the royal household or government official from assisting, advising, or formally engaging with any future ventures undertaken by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. They were to be treated with the same polite, distant protocol as any other foreign private citizens. Secondly, a formal communication was to be drafted and discreetly circulated to all Commonwealth governments, clarifying the official status of working royals and drawing a sharp, unambiguous line between state business and private celebrity tours. There would be no more grey areas for the Sussexes to exploit. The third and most brutal point was aimed directly at the heart of their operation. William demanded that any remaining official patronages or affiliations still loosely connected to the Sussexes through historical ties be formally and publicly transferred to working members of the family. The message was to be unequivocal. The benefits of association with the Crown are earned through loyal public service, not retained as a birthright to be leveraged for commercial gain. King Charles, according to an aide who later described the scene, was left utterly speechless. He looked from his resolute eldest son to the damning evidence on the screen. The weight of his position, of history, and of his fractured family seemed to land on him all at once. He saw the logic in William's argument. He understood the grave institutional danger. But this was still his son, Harry, being discussed with the detached language of a national security threat. In that moment, Charles the father was completely eclipsed by Charles the king, who was being presented with a choice he could not refuse. William's ultimatum was not a request for permission. It was a statement of future policy. He was, in effect, taking control of the crisis, asserting his authority as the heir and the ultimate guarantor of the monarchy's future. The king's silence was his consent. He gave a slow, weary nod, a gesture of surrender to the cold, hard logic of survival. The meeting was over. The firewall was now active. The House of Windsor had just amputated a limb to save the body, and the new, uncompromising era of King William V had, for all intents and purposes, already begun. When we step back and analyze this seismic shift, we are witnessing more than just the tragic conclusion of a fraternal feud. We are witnessing the birth of a new monarchical ideology, forged in crisis by the Prince of Wales. William has made the calculated decision that the long-term survival of the crown requires a level of ruthless discipline that his father's generation might find unpalatable. He has concluded that, in the 21st century, the monarchy cannot withstand the instability of internal dissent or the brand dilution caused by rogue actors. His actions are not born of personal animosity, but of a fierce protective instinct for the 1,000-year-old institution he is destined to lead. He has looked at the modern media landscape, the pressures of global celebrity, and the fragile public trust in institutions, and has decided that the only path forward is one of absolute clarity and unwavering control. The Sussex Doctrine, as it is now being whispered about in palace corridors, is his answer. It is a permanent solution to a problem that has plagued the monarchy for years. In this new era, Catherine, Princess of Wales, emerges as the quiet but essential co-architect. Her grace under pressure, her unwavering dedication to duty, and her immense popularity are the soft power that legitimizes William's hardline strategy. Together, they represent a unified front, a partnership that projects stability, resilience, and an uncompromising commitment to the traditional values of service. They are drawing a line in the sand, signaling to the world that the business of the crown is not a part-time job or a platform for personal ventures. It is a lifetime covenant demanding total sacrifice and loyalty. The heartbreaking collateral damage, of course, is the final, irreversible estrangement from Harry. The two brothers, once united in grief and destiny, now stand as leaders of opposing kingdoms, one of public duty, the other of private ambition. As William and Catherine prepare to lead the monarchy into the future, a profound and unsettling question hangs in the air. In building this impenetrable fortress around the crown to protect it from all external threats, has William been forced to extinguish the very compassion and familial warmth that once made the monarchy feel human? And will this new, colder, more corporate House of Windsor be able to command the love of its people, or merely their respect for its unyielding, brutal efficiency model?